Okay, so today we'll be going over a guide to measurement and data, which is a curriculum designed for grades 1 and 2. So, a little about me. I am Doris Lee, and my favorite novels are The Great Gatsby and The Lord of the Flies, and I've learned how to play piano and clarinet. Now, going along with the lesson, this is what we'll be learning today. In this lesson, students will practice telling time, adding money, and measuring liquid in a beaker. We will acquire these three skills: telling time using both an analog clock and a digital clock, measuring water in a beaker, and counting money and adding money. Okay, so how do we tell time? So this is a clock, and with telling time, it's important to understand where everything is. Let's first mark where the numbers are. Going from top and moving towards the right, we label the numbers 1 to 12. So we know that the red hand is the longer hand, which is meant to tell the minutes, while the shorter hand is blue, which tells hours. Now that we know where everything is, how do we tell time? So let's look at the steps to telling time. Step 1. Look at the shorthand first. Looking at the example provided, we know that the shorthand falls between 2 and 3. We can also draw a dashed line so that we can make sure it falls between 2 and 3. So now, using the shorthand, we know that it's 2 o'clock. But is it exactly 2 o'clock? Let's check using the longer hand. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. Step 2. Look at the longer hand, which is labeled in red. With the longer hand, the numbers that are shown on the clock need to be multiplied by 5 in order to get the minutes. When reading the minutes, we look at where the longer hand is. What number does the longer hand touch? That's right, it touches 1. We multiply it by 5, so 1 times 5 is 5. So we know it's 5 minutes past 2, or 2:05. Okay, number 1. Let's go through the steps again. Step 1. Look at the shorthand first. Look at the two numbers it falls between and use a smaller number. I'm going to draw a dashed line so I know exactly where it falls between. After drawing the dashed line, we can see that the blue arrow falls on 11. We use the number 11 as the hour number. Make sure you remember this number. Step 2. Now look at the longer hand. Let's look at where the red hand hits. It hits 12 exactly. Now this is a special case because when the number 12 in minutes means 0 minutes. So when the longer hand hits 12, there are 0 minutes. The last and final step, put the two numbers together with the shorthand first and the longer hand second. Our answers would be 11 o'clock. If you want to practice some more, at the end of the presentation, there will be links to some fun practice games. Okay, so there's some information to know. There are 2 periods of time we divide our day into. Midday is at 12 p.m. Let's test it out. If we just woke up, we would say that it is something something a.m. For example, if I woke up at 8 in the morning, I would say I woke up at 8 a.m. However, if we want to say something that occurs past lunchtime, we would want to say something something p.m. For example, if I want to play in a park at 2, I would have to say I will play in a park at 2 p.m. If I want to go to sleep at 8 at night, I would have to say I will sleep at 8 p.m. Okay, so let's move on to measuring water in a beaker, which is a skill that many students will have to use as they go into science labs. So this is a beaker. Beakers can come in all shapes and sizes, but all of them do the same thing, measuring liquids. Most beakers will be read in milliliters for accuracy. Okay, so let's look at the steps to measuring water. It may be hard at first, but it gets easier with practice. Step 1. We want to start bringing ourselves to eye level as a beaker, so we can see that the liquid is filled halfway. Step 2. Look at the bottom of the meniscus. This is called a meniscus. Step 3. Estimate approximately where it lands on. In the example, it lands on 60 milliliters, so the volume of the liquid is 60 milliliters. Okay, so let's start practicing. Okay, so let's start with this practice example. Step 1, we want to start by bringing ourselves to eye level as a beaker, so we can see that the liquid is filled a little more than halfway. So step 2, look at the bottom side of a meniscus. We can see that the bottom side falls between 70 and 80. So what's half of 10? It's 5. So moving on to step 3, we can safely say that the volume of the liquid is 75 milliliters. Don't forget that there will be more chances to practice that will be linked on the last slide. So our final lesson is counting coins, which is very important because having change will help a lot when you're making daily transactions. So we have a lot of coins that may be a little bit difficult to figure out how much they're worth. Let's start with our smallest value coin, the penny. It has a picture of Abraham Lincoln and is worth 1 cent, or $0.01. So moving on, we have the nickel. The nickel has a picture of Thomas Jefferson and is worth 5 cents, or 0.05 cents. Now let's look at the dime. It is worth 10 cents, or $0.1, and has a picture of Franklin D. Roosevelt on it. Lastly, we have the quarter, which is worth 25 cents, or $0.25. It has a picture of Washington on the front of the coin. Lastly, we don't see this coin often, but it sometimes will show up. It's a dollar coin, and it's worth $1. It has a picture of Sacagawea on the front of the coin. Worst case scenario, if you don't know how much the coin is worth, you can just look on the back of the coin for its worth. For example, it says a $0.25, 5 cents, 1 dime, and 1 cent. Okay. So now let's practice counting some coins. I'll give you a moment to count all the coins. You can pause this video and come back when you're done counting the coins. Now, I'm going to assume that you finished counting all the coins. So for the pennies, we found out there are 9 pennies, 4 quarters, 21 dimes, and 9 nickels. How much is that worth? Well, let's calculate it. We know that a penny is worth 1 cent, so we multiply 9 pennies by 1 cent, so we get 9 cents. Then we know that a quarter is worth 25 cents, so we multiply 4 quarters by 25 cents, so we get 100 cents, or $1. Then we know that the dimes are worth 10 cents, so we multiply 21 dimes by 10 cents, so we get 210 cents. Lastly, we know that nickels are 5 cents, so we multiply 9 nickels by 5 cents, which totals to 45 cents. Now we add up all the values together, and what do we get? We get 339 cents. And if we want it in dollars, we divide it by 100, and we get $3.39. Okay, so let's review. What did we learn today? We learned how to tell time, measure liquid in a beaker, and count coins. So here are some resources to help you practice, and I know for sure that these resources helped me a lot when I was learning how to do these kind of basics. So thank you, and if you have any questions, you can find me at dorislee2003@gmail.com, or you can visit our website at internsforgood.org. Thank you.